My name is Tyler Brooks. I'm 29 years old, and I live in North Carolina, USA. I never thought a normal Saturday barbecue would become the scariest day of my life. It happened in August of 2024. My wife, Emily, and I had invited my younger brother, Mason, our neighbors, and a few friends over for a backyard cookout. Our house sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. Behind our backyard was a long wooden privacy fence. Beyond that fence, nothing but thick woods. The nearest hiking trail was almost half a mile away. The afternoon was perfect. Kids were swimming, adults were grilling burgers, music was playing. Everything felt peaceful. Around 6:30 p.m., my German Shepherd Rex suddenly stopped chasing a tennis ball. He stood perfectly still, his ears pointed toward the fence. Then, he growled. Not a playful growl, a deep, warning growl. I laughed at first. I assumed he heard a deer, but he didn't move. He just kept staring. A minute later, someone knocked on the wooden fence. 3 slow knocks. Everyone stopped talking. I walked closer. "Who's there?" No answer. I looked through a tiny gap between the fence boards. Nothing. Just trees. I figured it was kids playing a prank. We ignored it. 10 minutes later, 3 knocks again. This time, on a different part of the fence. Rex barked so aggressively that even the children became nervous. My brother grabbed a flashlight, even though it was still daylight. We opened the backyard gate. Nobody. No footprints, no bicycles, nothing. We laughed it off again. As the sun disappeared, most of our guests headed home. By 9:30 p.m., only Emily, Rex, and I remained. We locked every door, turned off the backyard lights, and watched a movie. Around 10:15, Rex jumped off the couch. He wasn't barking. He was listening. His eyes stayed fixed on the sliding glass door. Then, tap, tap, tap. Someone was tapping on the glass, very gently. I muted the TV. The tapping stopped. I slowly pulled back the curtain. Nobody. The deck was empty. But Rex refused to leave the door. He kept growling into the darkness. I turned the floodlights on. Still nothing. After checking outside, I locked everything again. Half an hour later, the power suddenly went out. The entire neighborhood went dark. At first, I assumed it was a blackout. Then my phone buzzed. Our neighborhood group chat. Everyone else still had electricity, only our house was dark. That made my stomach drop. I grabbed a flashlight, checked the breaker panel in the garage. Every breaker was switched off. All of them. Someone had opened the outside electrical box. Someone had been in our yard. While I turned everything back on, Emily yelled from inside, "Tyler!" I ran into the kitchen. She pointed toward the backyard. The gate was open. I knew I had locked it. Rex charged outside before I could stop him. He sprinted across the yard, straight toward the woods. I followed him with the flashlight. About 20 yards from the fence, I found him standing over something. It wasn't a person. It was a backpack. Old. Dirty. Inside were empty water bottles, rope, gloves, a pair of binoculars, and dozens of printed photographs. My heart nearly stopped. Every photo was of our house. Different days, different times. Some showed Emily gardening. Some showed me mowing the lawn. Some showed neighborhood children playing. Whoever owned that backpack had been watching us. for weeks, maybe months. I immediately called 911. While we waited, the dispatcher told us to stay inside. Police arrived within 8 minutes. They searched the woods with canine units. About 40 minutes later, one officer walked back carrying another flashlight. He told us they found fresh footprints leading away from the backpack. But whoever left them had vanished. No suspect, no arrest. The next morning, detectives installed temporary cameras around the property. They also checked nearby houses. Then, one elderly neighbor remembered something strange. For several weekends, he had seen an old white pickup truck parked near the hiking trail entrance. The driver would sit there for hours without getting out. Police searched for the truck. Nothing. Almost 2 weeks passed. Life slowly returned to normal. Until one evening, our doorbell camera alerted my phone. A man wearing a baseball cap stood at the front porch. He wasn't ringing the bell. He was simply staring directly into the camera, completely motionless, for almost 30 seconds. Then, he smiled, turned around, and walked away. Police responded immediately. They searched the area. Again, nothing. The detective later told me something I'll never forget. The face in the camera footage matched no one in any criminal database. The investigation eventually went cold. We installed taller fencing, security lights, more cameras. Nothing has happened since. But every now and then, late at night, Rex still walks to that same corner of the backyard, stares into the woods, and quietly growls. Sometimes, I wonder if he's remembering, or if someone is still out there watching.